Hi! So, the Zapote Bridge. Have you heard there's a battle about it? Probably not. This place is one of the most forgotten pieces of history in the Philippines. A lot happened, and by happened, I mean battles. 2 battles to be exact, from February 17, 1897 and June 13, 1899. You could even say that it was a tulay that is used as a tactica for the Philippine revolutionaries. Get it? Anyways, let's talk about it. Okay, rewind. It's the late 1800s Philippines. On the map, you see Manila and Cavite. Between them, Zapote Bridge, linking Las Piñas and Bacoor. Why is it important? 2 words, location and choke point. This bridge was meant as an easy access between Cavite and what's now Metro Manila. By restricting access to the bridge, the Filipinos from Cavite had an easier time intercepting incoming foot soldiers. Cavite was the seedbed of the revolution. The Spanish, spooked by that notion, set up an army to finally stop the terrifying uprising happening on Cavite. Thus, their Cavite campaign begun in February 13, 1897. They really needed it to succeed, so both Governor General Camilo de Polavieja and his General Jose de la Chambre gathered up their boys for an attack on the bridge on February 17th. The Filipinos knew about the upcoming attack, so they had generals like Edilberto Evangelista, a civil engineer turned revolutionary, stationed in the Bacoor side to fortify it to the bone. After seeing the battles before, they thought, we can't just fight them head on. We gotta get creative. So, trenches. They dug a lot of them and used them as hiding places. They also planted dynamite under the bridge. Yes, you heard it right. Dynamite as a big surprise, while also adding bamboo shoots in the river for big ouchies. With the help of Gil Ignacio, punong katipunero of Bacoor, they got the plan in motion in time before the Spanish came. Oh, and also, General Emilio Aguinaldo was there. Okay, before everything, I want to show you this guy, Edilberto Evangelista. He is a civil engineer graduated from Belgium, Ghent University, and he is one of the brains behind almost every fortification in the Philippines at that time. He was a certified genius. He could have stayed abroad, built bridges, enjoyed waffles, but nope. He came home and joined the revolution. With his help and both Gil Ignacio and Aguinaldo, the Filipinos fortified their part of the bridge. It was really well built to the point that it was also used at the other battle I'll mention later. Anyways, let's get back to the battle. So, as the Spanish troops under General Polavieja started crossing, boom! Surprise attack! Suddenly, they're shouting, gunfire, and chaos as the Filipinos charge while the Spanish try to cross the bridge. The Filipinos, using the chaos, pulled off an ambush, using their trenches to their advantage. The plan was working. They were holding the upper hand even while using mostly bolos and bows in an era where guns were the standard. After a whole lot of bloodshed, the Spanish retreated, heading back toward Muntinlupa. They were victorious! They won with dwindling resources and untrained men against a superpower at the time. It felt like they could win the whole war. But winning also comes with sacrifices. Edilberto Evangelista fell in battle, struck by a stray bullet to the head. He was a brave man, always leading from the front, driven by his unwavering belief in the cause, freedom, and independence. The fortifications he designed stood as a testament to his skill and dedication. helping the revolutionaries hold Cavite for longer than anyone thought possible. A parting gift, perhaps his final contribution. Though his life was cut short, the revolutionaries held their ground, and in the end, they won the battle. But wait a sec, someone's missing. Yup, they got flanked. While General Polavieja attacked the bridge, General Lashambre on February 15th split the main army in two, stationed in Santo Domingo in Laguna, attacked from the back, starting at the town of Silang towards their goal of Imus. The main Filipino forces didn't realize what was happening until 2 days later. By then, General Lashambre had already captured several towns, burning and killing residents along the way, all as part of their push to crush the revolution. It was tough, but hey, at least they showed they could stand up to the Spaniards. Yeah, my bad. Anyways, that's the first big battle that took place at the bridge. Now, we'll fast forward to June 13, 1899, the same bridge, same river line, just bigger guns, and new imperial overlords, the Americans. So, the American-Filipino War. The Treaty of Paris happened. The Spanish sold the Philippine island to the Americans to pay off debt for losing. And after that, the first landing of Americans on Filipino soil happened. For the first time, it was fine. The Filipinos even welcomed them. Until the Filipinos found out that the freedom they give was not actually for the Filipinos. So, a new war, new enemies. And they're coming from the same side as the Spanish came, from Manila. Again, the Filipinos set up base in Cavite, and again, the foreign adversaries are trying to stomp the revolution. Thus, the Americans marched their boys towards the bridge with their Major General Henry W. Lawton on foot, while Admiral George Dewey on naval. Both the bridge and the river were about to turn into a battlefield. So, preparations were made quickly. First, the bridge. After the explosion, it was in tatters. Just a few wooden planks left to fill the gaps, barely enough for people to cross. Even like that, it was still a choke point. A strategically important spot, critical for helping Cavite survive. On the Filipino side, preparations were underway. Artemio Ricarte, Mariano Noriel, Guillermo Masangkay, and of course Aguinaldo were all there. Most stuff made way back was still used here, like the trenches, ambush points, and the bamboo spike at the river. They even put bombs under the bridge like last time. They also manned a 1-pounder Hotchkiss gun, a smooth-bore cannon, and some other salvage artillery on specific sides of the bridge up to the rivers for big boom booms. They were armed enough with leftovers from the Spanish army. They should be able to win again like last time, right? Alright, wait a second. Okay, let's see here. What the Filipinos are dealing with are modern rifles, sure. New artillery? Okay. Gunboats? There's 7 of them? Surely the Filipinos have those as well, right? Oh, great. Well, they've seen worse. This is nothing.
Sir, foreshadowing po.
D-Day, June 13, 1899. Both sides are in position. The Filipinos were hiding behind trenches and ambush points. On the other side, the Americans were getting ready. The fight kicked off when the Filipinos fired 3 shells from their 1-pounder Hotchkiss, basically daring the Americans to respond. And respond they did. 6 shrapnel shells came flying back, full of tiny metal balls that would tear through anything in their path. They weren't messing around. Shots started flying from both sides. At first, the Filipinos had the upper hand. Even though most of them weren't trained, their numbers and clever tactics, like the ambushes that worked against the Spaniards, gave them an edge. Things started to go downhill for the Filipinos when the Americans brought in heavy artillery, gunboat artillery, and field guns, namely the 3.2-inch, 3-inch, and 1.65-inch Hotchkiss, started pounding the trenches non-stop. General Samuel Ovenshine even had the opportunity to do something bold. He moved his artillery closer to the bridge to hit them even harder. The bombardment hit both the buildings and the trench lines, turning them to dust. Yet, they did not yield. As the time keeps ticking, the gap in firepower, the heavy weapons, and the encirclement from the Zapote River were taking their toll. Slowly, the lines began to crumble. The Americans reached the bridge, patching the broken planks with makeshift scaffolding, forcing a path forward. The Filipinos began to withdraw. Some stayed behind, covering their comrades' retreat toward the bamboo forest. It was a desperate, grueling defense, facing impossible odds and holding on as long as they could. After the battle, the Americans swept through Cavite, their firepower leaving few places untouched. The Filipinos had no choice but to fight differently. Guerrilla warfare, striking them quickly, disappearing into the land, and using every advantage the terrain could give them. This continued even after Aguinaldo was captured on March 23, 1901. But the cost was heavy. It was not just soldiers, but the suffering of thousands of innocent civilians who were branded as revolutionaries. Over time, the fighters thinned, the movement faded, and the fire of the revolution fizzled out. A lot has happened at the bridge. Some wins, some losses. But the aftermath showed something important. It helped realize that we Filipinos are really cool. We stood there, facing the odds and the possibility of losing everything, all for the sake of independence. It's something worth carrying forward. And that's a wrap. I want to add a few extra facts before we go. Even though it's a diversion, the win on the Spanish front boosted Filipino morale. It showed what the Filipinos were capable of, and also showed how the Spanish finally realized that the Filipinos are to be taken seriously. While the fight against the Americans was a bit one-sided in the resource department, it still went down as one of the biggest battles in the country. It even got a quote from the Americans: "The largest and best organized body of men which has met American troops." Alright, that's everything. Bye.